It's Song Talk Radio with Michael, Neil, Phil, and the gang.
Welcome to Song Talk Radio, episode 302.
Wow.
This is, I know, we keep going. This is the show with songwriters talking to other songwriters about the craft of songwriting.
Huzzah.
Yeah, we share tips, tools, techniques, and together we all become better human beings and better at writing songs. I'm your host, Mike Proudfoot, and with me are the holiday edition members of the Song Talk Radio Action Team. We have For Old Lang Syne, Phil.
For old what?
For Old Lang Syne. I just found out that there's more than one verse to that, you know? There's a few verses.
Really? Well,
yeah. So there you go.
So that's news. We'll look that up. And New Year Neil.
Oh, thank you very much.
I know we're getting a jump on it.
Yeah,
and
that's okay.
on the tech board, we have Don our gay apparel.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. During the show, please send in your comments and questions to Song Talk Radio on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or feedback at songtalk.ca, and we will share them with the audience. And please visit us at songtalk.ca to find out how you can be a guest on the show. And speaking of our show, oh boy, we have a special show for you tonight. Our guest today is performer, actor, musician, Jef Farquharson. Welcome, Jeff.
Hi.
Hi, Jeff. As a singer, Jeff has appeared on stages all around Toronto, including Massey Hall. As an actor, he has been on stage once or twice, as well as in films and television programs. He is one half of the comedy duo Soupy and Shecky. But tonight, Jeff is here because he has a passion for writing Christmas songs.
You didn't mention my Grammy.
I didn't mention your Grammy nor your Nobel Prize for firefighting. So far, Jeff has released an EP of holiday tunes, and he's currently compiling a lot more. So tonight, we're going to find out what is so great about this Christmas thing that everybody is talking about. Hello, Jeff. Welcome.
Hi, nice to be
Welcome.
here. Hi, gang.
Hello.
So I get the impression you own the only songs you write are Christmas songs? Or you write
That's
other
it.
songs? Really?
That's it.
That's fascinating.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, like, you just write sort of around this time, or do you write all year?
Usually, I get inspired in March,
Okay.
April. Start thinking about it,
Around
and
Easter.
then and then I start writing.
Wow.
It's always in search. I mean, I'm not even coming close to it, but to getting in search of the Christmas classic
Right. Well, and most of the Christmas classics were written in June and July.
by
and-
Jews.
Yeah, by Jews.
By
Wow.
Jewish
So
people. they define Christmas.
Are you like
so
a really
I'm a
huge...
Jewish person, and I
Okay.
thought this could be a gig for me.
That muzzle
Party of Heritage.
Thank you.
Are you a really big fan of the Christmas classics? Like have you studied them?
Some,
Yeah.
some, and some I absolutely detest.
Okay.
Well,
I've got a,
Let's hear about the ones you detest.
Yeah, what-
Oh no, the one right now, and it's funny because today I had it on driving around. I had it on repeat. Is I'm not going to say this right, and I just discovered this, and apparently it is on Muzak systems. Kalamaliki Naka or some such
Oh,
thing.
yeah, the
Hello,
Hawaiian
you know,
one, the Bing Crosby did. Yeah.
And if the Don Ho version
Oh, wow.
is it's quite something, and I'll leave it up to you. It just sounds like it. There's, you know the old joke counting in a tempo.
Yeah.
When you go, okay, I'll count us in, and you go 1. And
Yeah.
so I mean, it's just so not Christmassy. It's Don Ho. It's like that. It's like SCTV Takeoff on Perry Como. Yeah.
Are you familiar with Christmas Island, which is sort of in the same genre?
Another
Would I
song.
hate that as much?
Oh,
I'm not
you
sure.
might.
You might. It's actually one of my
Yes.
favorites, but it's
So most of what I think I try to write is an answer to that one song, the song that I hate the most, which is, and I have no idea where it's from or who wrote it, but it's the most wonderful time of the year, and I can't stand it. It just
Musically or the sentiment?
the sentiment is probably the major thing, but also the song. Yeah, I mean the ones I love.
Such as?
Chestnuts,
Right.
the Christmas song. It's just a beautiful song. It wouldn't have to be a Christmas song. It's just
Yeah.
a really beautiful melody. It's it's just beautiful.
So you figure it's just the lyrics then that push it into being Christmassy, or is there some like instrumentation or like what?
You throw in some bells. For me, it doesn't have to have anything to do with Christmas. You throw in a bell,
Boom, Christmas.
done. Chimes
Christmas,
work.
Yeah.
No, there's definitely a thing, but for me, it's Well, all right, I assume we're going to play these songs, right?
We will.
There's and the answer to the question is, for me, my obsession with the Christmas thing is like having something honest, like that reflects everybody, not just the perfect families walking through the mall that have tons of money to spend, but reflect. And so anyway, I can explain it when we play one particular song that came out of doing a benefit for the food bank. So
which was this one? This would
that's
be
Christmas Is, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So how'd that come about from the food bank?
Well, because I was doing this benefit show this is the first year I haven't done it in a while.
Like 10 years or something.
So and so it was, yeah, it's all great that we pretend that it's this idyllic, wonderful time. I just don't know that many people that have Christmases as perfect as what's represented in the
That's
media
true.
or marketing.
Yeah.
So
So we have
gift
some
cards.
background on the Christmas song. It's actually published in 1945 and written by Robert Wells and Mel Torme.
Oh, is
Isn't
this
that
the most
interesting? I
wonderful
think I
time of the
knew
year,
that.
that one?
By Mel Torme, and the song was written during a blistering hot summer in an effort to stay cool by thinking cool. It's the most performed, according to BMI, Christmas song ever written.
it's beautiful.
It's a fantastic
right?
song. It is.
It's just a good
Yeah.
song.
So
Well, and
which
it's-
song is this? Chestnuts? or-
Chestnuts, yes. It's
Oh,
called
okay.
The Christmas Song, and it's written
Oh, it's
by
called Christmas Song.
Robert
Oh, okay.
Wells and Mel Torme.
And
The
you
Velvet
can't say
Fog.
that about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Is not a good song. It
No.
just happens to, play into the season and
Yeah, there's
you know,
a whole bunch of kiddie songs, and that seems to be like that.
it's
right?
more, it is assumedly kiddies.
So a lot of people are trying to write Christmas songs, and I think we've all taken a shot at it. And something I've been sort of watching people do. So what do you think are some of the mistakes people make while they're trying to write these Christmas songs? Because I think many of them, although honest and well-meaning, often kind of miss the mark in some ways.
I think, writing for a specific time. So, when the Christmas song was written, or songs that were written in the 30s, 40s, that was, a very romantic time, and it was written like that. So now it's more, I feel like, punk kicked the crap out of that. Now it's all more realistic, which comes to the Pogues and Kirsty MacColl.
Right,
And
Fairy
which
Tale of New York.
Fairy Tale of New York might be, from my point of view, like an instant classic that
Yeah, wonderful song.
represents this realism and grittiness. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the traditional ones that'll be playing on the music as you
Yeah.
walk through Macy's or whatever, right? So
Yeah, I can't imagine that becoming Muzak in a way that a lot of other songs have been kind of co-opted to be your soundtrack as you buy things.
no, and the lyrics would probably. I mean, maybe actually it could be, but if it lyrically, it's not going to happen as music,
No, I
right?
think
Because
so.
it's a little too.
But do you actually see those kind of darker themes entering the kind of popular culture? Because as it stands, I'm assuming today that the Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You, is still number one. It's still the
Weird,
biggest
isn't it?
Christmas song as of any recent memory. Right, like
She did
everyone
pretty well with
and
that.
everyone, yeah,
She
she did
did
pretty well with
really
it. But
well.
everyone knows that one. It's permeated the popular consciousness in a way that the Pogues haven't.
Isn't that a weird one, isn't it? I mean, I understand. There's songs that I don't like that I totally get why they're popular.
I think
that
it's
might
a well
be one.
I think it's a well-written song. I
Yeah,
mean, it's not like
But
it's.
but again, my question is, Jeff, from your point of view,
Sure.
do you see the eventuality of some of these darker themes actually permeating to that degree?
Wouldn't that be nice? But that's just me, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I want to listen to. So,
Yeah.
and I couldn't give a tinker's cuss whether they do or not. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
if they do, that's great, and then you go, well, that represented a certain time and space, and remember when it was all so innocent. And I'm speaking as
Yeah.
someone who has a 5-year-old at home. So, I mean, that, then now I can actually watch it through a 5-year-old's, and it's hard to believe I used to be 5. I used it as a stepping stone between 4 and 6. So 5 for me was very much a jumping off to 6, but that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I'm just saying for me.
Right. So you didn't really luxuriate in the 5. It was just a means to an end.
Exactly. Some people skip over to 7. And I just, yeah. Anyway, he's 5, and it's. I mean, for the first time, we've had him with us for a year. I won't get into the story because it has nothing to do with anything, but he's my girlfriend's grandson is living with us. So and so it's kind of fun to put on the tunes have a different resonance, right? When you're watching him dance around.
Right.
I think,
Does it make you?
I think one of the things I've noticed, listening to lots of people doing various versions of their own Christmas song, is I think people try to do too much.
Sure.
If you listen, and if you are a songwriter, the best thing you can do is take your favorite song and pull it apart. Like figure out, how many syllables, how many beats are in each line. Figure out where the melody goes, how the melody sits on the chords. Really understand how those songs work.
Sure.
Because when you pull those apart, you realize that all those classic songs are actually very, very simple lyrically. There's not a lot of words. There's very direct and very simple imagery. And I think some people try to get too complicated in it.
And isn't that, and that's the idea of the hook in a song,
Yeah,
right?
you're
want everybody
describing
to
a pop
grab onto
sensibility
it.
in general.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not something that well, I don't know if you've listened to the song we're going to listen to, but I mean, it's obvious. And you've seen the lyrics.
Yes,
it's not something I'm particularly, as a writer, concerned about. Keeping it simple and having an obvious.
Yeah, because Christmas has got a lot
But I
of
think
words.
this, for me, this works
yeah.
almost in spite of it, because it still has it's got a nice sentiment to it, and the cavalcade or the cascade of images is a lot of fun.
Sure. The reason I think it does work, and the only reason I say it works is just from feedback, not what I think necessarily. It was just obviously time to stop. Was that it just happens to be a stream of consciousness, something with a very, very simple chorus.
Right. Let's take a listen to it. This is Christmas Is by Jef Farquharson.
Christmas is a magic time when families and friends gather in comfort and joy with warm tidings of peace on earth and gorge themselves on free-range anabolic poultry, stuffed garland, eggnog wreath, and watch the Yule logs smoldering. Christmas is a tiny bit of undigested potato, homeless hunger, slippery walks, and cheerful chiming clocks, pine boughs and presents given, paper and ribbon, insomniac silver trees, candy canes, stockings hung like a horse. Irish ceasefires and heavenly choirs of heavenly helpers, Polaroid mull Santas and green gift boxers, injection molded plastic toys bought with plastic money, greeting cards and stale religious hymns. Migraine, music, carol bells, and carol chimes, primetime Grinch, and aerosol frost. Oh, that aerosol frost. Christmas is a special time. Christmas is a low crime time. Christmas is a special kind of day. I said Christmas is a happy time. For some of you it's a crappy time, but Christmas, it's a coming your way. Christmas is a tragic time of solitude and heartburn, loneliness, Ebenezer nightmares and Salvation Army smiles, sleigh bells and herald angels harking, burlapes barking, bright lit silver trees and landmine mistletoe. Spot checks on closed down streets of nutmeg, wet snow, wide eyes, rosy cheeks and runny noses. Late morning pajama punch, drunk twinkling stars, mincemeat tarts, and oh, that aerosol frost. Christmas is a special time. Christmas is a low crime time. Christmas Christmas is a special kind of day. I said Christmas is a happy time. For some of you it's a crappy time, but Christmas, it's a coming your way. Upside down clown parades, early champagne cocktails, empty plastic sherry bottles, frankincense and myrrh. Dreary walks to early Boxing Day sales, past desolate windshield soup kitchen lineups, and wondrous wind-up window display. Christmas is a special time. Christmas is a bummer dime time. Christmas is a special kind of day. I said Christmas is a happy time. For some of you it's a crappy time, but Christmas, it's a coming anyway. On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a dream. On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave me 2 dreams.
There you go, a soon-to-be holiday classic. Christmas is.
Nice.
It's a lovely song, Jeff.
beautiful.
I particularly like the way that you have so many words, but you find variety and ways to say, spot, check, and, there's a nice, you keep it exciting.
This is a true story that I just really hadn't revisited like that. When I was asked, they needed a lyric sheet, so I had to write it down. And suddenly I went, I've mentioned silver trees twice, and it started bothering me because if I had have noticed that, I may have done it anyway. And Maureen, my partner, said, "It doesn't matter."
It doesn't matter.
No, you've performed this live sometimes, haven't you?
Well,
that can't have been easy.
And I'll tell you what, I was thinking about it, so this is bringing it back for me, because I can't remember when it was done, but I think it's at least maybe 9 years old or 10 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a friend was doing a benefit show at the Bathurst Street Theatre, and he asked me to do this song. And so it was like Mark Jordan and Ian Thomas and Rick Emmett from Triumph. So it was all, and it was pretty cool, right? So me and Rusty McCarthy, who produced this and plays guitar, and on that he plays bass on that one as well.
Did he do backup vocals?
And yeah, that's why it's so messy. We'd end up doing the backup vocals and just start laughing if it was really not planned. Anyway, so what happened was at this benefit, there was this guy dressed up as I'm not a Star Wars guy, but he was dressed up as Darth Vader. Thank you very much. Playing the saxophone. so we're in the back and we're kind of just rehearsing, and he was playing acoustic, and I said, I wonder if Darth Vader, I mean, it's not complex harmonically, it's just kind of a weird thing, but I'm wondering if he would like to walk on stage with us while we're playing it and just do that little saxophone fills. He seems like he knows what he's doing with the horn. And so I just, I just remember performing it, and Rusty sitting there playing acoustic, and Darth Vader walking out with a saxophone and playing those little saxophone hooks.
It's kind of awesome.
At the Bathurst Street Theatre.
That's so cool. Let's talk about the writing of this. Do you remember, because it's an interesting approach. You have sort of a talk, sing verse, and then like a normal sung chorus.
Right.
So what was the thought process behind the writing?
I'm not even sure I thought it was a song to begin with. It's just kind of like, that idea that, so I just had this stream of conscious thing. So I started writing all the verses down. And then, as I often do, and I have to admit that we did say that I only write Christmas songs, and that's not quite true. So I'd go over to Rusty's studio on Maple Avenue and say, well, I have this. this is what I'm thinking. It's going to be kind of a loungy bossa nova. And then we sort of so really it was always an accident waiting to happen. Like I don't even know how. There are other things I've done that the full intention was to be a song, and I think that's why I dropped in such a kind of the chorus is what it is, because it's very cocktaily kind of, so the intention as writing a song, I that's a weird one, It was,
Remember around that time, because Christmas is a low crime time, because you had found that out, and you're going, no, I got to,
well, we can use that. It's a time when people don't mug each other, which is lovely.
Statistically, not a.
Although I just true story. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Low crime time. I just had all my partner's presents from Banana Republic were stolen. So I have to
from
go
your
through
apartment.
That. So apparently there is crime during the Christmas. It's all good.
All right.
But
it's not. You didn't say no crime. You said low crime.
So it is still accurate.
Low crime time has a little better.
Now, when you say
meter.
you wrote it, did you write the melody too, or you start off with the lyrics, or?
So no, there's no melody to start, and because it was just these verses, really, there was no chorus. It was like, what do we stick in there to make it a song?
Are you a musician yourself? Like you play piano or guitar or anything, or do you work with?
I'm the most unfortunate musician, so I'm an ex-trumpet player.
Okay.
Which is one of the stupidest things to actually compose on. Like the song, you ever go to an open mic at the free times, and you have a guy playing little, saying, I feel so sad. You never see that, right? It's usually a guitar. Very rarely a trumpet player.
There's no blues.
There's a bassoon player.
Is there? Oh,
yeah. You used to come to Smoking Grass.
That's right. From the Anti-Gravity Janitors. No, what's
think
his name?
so.
I can't remember his name. But he's
Don't
lovely.
tell that to Miles Davis.
There's not a lot of blues trumpet players.
Well, it's not a great writing instrument either, is it? So I sort of lean heavily on Rusty, but I have some very specific ideas, and I'll so if he let's just make it blue, or like I'll use my kind of idea of what he should be doing on guitar, and I'll find a melody around that. So
Oh, cool.
So yeah.
What do you think, Neil?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I like the I like the dualities. You're always setting up these dualities, which is a great way to do it and keep the momentum going, right? It's a magic time, but they're also gorging themselves. It's bright silver trees. I love the landmine mistletoe. That's a great turn of phrase. And it's just peppered with these things, but you're always consistently sort of going back and forth. Santa's green gift boxers. But then you get a little bit darker, right? Molded plastic toys bought with plastic money, right? So I like that sort of thing. I did wonder about the low crime time. I was like, really, is that true? The first time I heard that, I was like, wow. I wouldn't be surprised.
And it would have worked. I mean, isn't that one of the wonders of Christmas, that it's quite possible nobody is going to do anybody any harm?
Exactly. That's a nice thought.
Isn't that a lovely thought?
It's a lovely thought.
So that's, and I gotta say, like, I guess the little hook in the chorus about happy time and crappy time.
And crappy time is the hookiest of all the hooks, which is really ironic.
And I remember it was just one of those magical times, and that, I have to admit, was not my line. It was Rusty's.
Oh, was it?
So I had happy time. And it was, what it sounded like, and I'm not in any way comparing myself, but it reminds me of, the Beatles song, It's Getting Better All the Time.
Yeah.
And that image of John Lennon sitting in the back while Paul is singing that, and he goes, can't get no worse.
Yeah.
So crappy time was kind of Rusty being in the back, kind of rolling his eyes, going, yeah. And that was it. We're sold. Yeah. So in no way, believe me, in no way comparing myself to the Beatles and all that, but it kind of reminds you of that voice that's sitting in the corner while you're going, it's a happy time.
Yeah.
And John was always that voice of realism going,
well, it's not for everyone.
Right. So
some people are having a crappy time.
And what was the decision at the end to sort of play with the first day of Christmas and the second day of Christmas? Like you didn't do that anywhere else in the song. It was just a thing.
Yeah, it was really an outro that was just kind of, this is... So I always had that, right, where... You're singing on, and was it called The First Day of Christmas, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And it's just the continual buying of more trees. Instead of, so I thought
Right,
that was
right,
kind
yeah.
of an insane idea.
Yeah, yeah.
And then on the
trees
third day,
every
it's 3 trees
Yeah,
and 4.
yeah.
So I thought that was a great thing to fade off
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Because not everyone's true love. It has a lot of imagination.
Well,
you know,
no.
it's just like
Well, I mean,
And with
if-
climate change, planting trees is actually a good
Yeah, but
thing.
if you
good,
change
yeah.
if you change tree to beer, then you've got the Doug and Mackenzie version.
that's right. That's
Thank
right.
you. And it could be, it could be, but it's funny. It's funny you ask that because that's, for some reason, just in my quiet little moments of insanity in my head, that idea of a song where the trees is just like, okay, on the 5th day of Christmas, I get 5 trees.
5 trees.
And then you do the math, and after the 12th day, how many trees do you have is just kind of, I can't remember what it was, but it's a lot of trees.
So
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. We just backtrack a little
Yeah.
bit. You never had these lyrics written down? Is that what you were saying? You had to write.
No, they're written. Okay, so where I live, I have no idea where they are.
Oh,
they're
you
in a
just lost
box.
them. Okay.
With all my other lyrics.
okay.
With all my
Okay.
lyrics. With a 5-year-old, it's a little more difficult
Okay.
to have quiet time to reflectively sit and write. So no, there's a box, that I treasure. It was just that I don't treasure when
You don't treasure its
I gotta
location.
send in a lyric
Right.
thing.
So that's what I was getting at. So
Yeah.
if you wrote this out the first time around, was there a lot of editing going back and forth, or does it kind of?
No, I don't
come
think
up
so.
this
I
way?
mean, there might be little moments, and I do for sure. I mean, I guess, don't we all? You
Yeah.
look at it, like doing a crossword where you can't get it, you can't get the word, but
Yeah.
you come back in a half an hour and you go, yeah,
Of course.
what's that?
Yeah.
So
else could
for
it be?
sure, I mean, some it'll illuminate like what you think should be there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying what should be there because I have no idea. Who am I to say? But what I think
Well, it's
should
your
be
song.
there.
Yeah.
And then, that's why I mean what I think should be there as opposed to what should be there. I don't know. But so yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing, isn't it? It's a song that wasn't really originally supposed to be a song that ended up being a song that people
And
seem
good-
to like.
Well, it's a nice sounding song. You have some good players on it too. Yeah.
There's some really good players, yeah. Well, I mean, Rusty's background is, I don't know if you remember, Songship, and then he's kind of the musical center of all the Mary Margaret O'Hara stuff, right?
Oh, right.
So the Miss America album, really that would be an interesting, not Mary, because I'm not sure she would make any sense, but I didn't say that really, did I? But Rusty, that idea of, she'd have her little her melodic ideas and her
Right.
lyrical ideas and leave them on Rusty's answering machine, and he would take them, and he's just got such a lovely sense of such a nice musicality, and he's normal. He's got this normal thing. So I always think that the magic of like an album like Miss America. Are you familiar with it? It's fantastic.
Of course.
Is this clash of Mary's wildness and unconventional spirit and amazing voice, and Rusty's straight ahead blues thing,
It works out great.
and it works.
We're going to take a break, Jeff,
Yep.
and when we come back, we'll play yet another song. I think a collaboration of yours and Rusty's, Rum and Eggnog. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
For those of you just joining us, you are listening to Song Talk Radio, streaming on songtalk.ca. And tonight, and on the show tonight is Toronto entertainer Jef Farquharson. Don't forget, we love to hear from you, even during the show. So why don't you send your thoughts and questions to us at Song Talk Radio on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or send us an email to feedback@songtalk.ca. Yes, that's feedback@songtalk.ca.
Is that feedback at songtalk.ca?
Let me just check. Yes, it's feedback@songtalk.ca.
I thought it was feedback at songtalk.ca.
No, just songtalk.ca.
Can I ask a question I'm new to? Is
Okay.
that feedback or feedback?
They actually both work, believe it or not.
Thank you.
Yes, all right.
It's a catch-all email.
That's right. And we'll share your thoughts on the show. Coming up on Song Talk Radio in the next couple of weeks on December 17th, it's the best songs of the decade.
As we
So,
declare.
As we declare. So, get your votes in now. December 24th, we'll be here, of course, live because it's our Christmas special with some of what we think are the best Christmas songs and new and old classics and new discoveries. And that's actually pre-recorded. So we'll be at home with our families but I hope you can listen to
No,
us.
we won't. We'll be on the beach.
That's right.
I won't be with my family. I might be with you. We'll have supper or something.
We should do.
Yeah, we'll do that.
good.
Well, I usually have a dinner party. And,
Oh, nice. Okay.
and Jeff
Okay,
is partner.
so everyone over at Michael's place on the 24th.
Yeah, just RSVP at songtalk.ca.
We'll publish his address on Twitter.
Yeah, we'll send out your address on Twitter, and that'll be okay.
This is going to go bad.
Hey, but if you happen to be in
We're
the
having a
Toronto
brisket.
area, having brisket, because if you happen to be in the Toronto area, why don't you join us for the next Song Talk meetup on Thursday, December 12th from 7 to 10 p.m. at the Transact Club. Free to join on meetup.com and free to attend the meetup. Always good times. Stop by songtalk.ca for a link to the meetup.
Of course, if you're hearing this on podcast, Happy New Year. Join us in January.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the first new show will be around Valentine's Day.
So there's something I liked about this, quite a few things I liked about this song. But the part I really appreciated was a tiny piece of undigested potato.
Yeah.
I think I misquote. I like it too, but I
Yes.
think it was a slight misquote from A Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens, and in my mind, that's what I remember hearing.
Yes, I think
That brought on his dreams, his
yes,
nightmare.
of
Was it
Marley.
tiny- was it? Maybe I'm right. I never
Robert,
back
yes.
researched it, but that's what I thought I was saying.
Because the ghost appears to him and he says, "Oh, you're just your figment. You could be just a bit of undigested potato."
That's it.
There's-
So that's where it's from.
There's more. You have more than something than spirit about you. It's a great line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the aerosol frost a reference to something, or is that just...
Oh yes. He doesn't remember. He doesn't know.
You don't know what aerosol
You don't remember
frost is?
aerosol frost?
No.
You weren't part of that?
Oh, you young
Well,
whippersnapper.
I'm a youngin.
So it's a
Who's gonna explain
can,
it? Yeah.
like
Yes.
so it's a can that sprays kind of fake frost.
No,
So
I
you
know,
could-
I know that, but
Right.
I'm just wondering if specifically in the song is it a reference to something cultural other than what it is.
long lost love. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
went
about
out with
the
a girl
fakeness of
named
Christmas.
Aerosol Frost.
Yeah, okay.
I
Because
wanted to
I do love that part of aerosol frost because you totally you just
Well,
thinking
because the delivery is that aerosol, it's
fake
just,
snow,
how I
the-
miss it. How that was the essence.
I
of
don't know if
Christmas.
they
It's like
But
Proust's
isn't that a nice
Netherlands.
way of saying that maybe part of Christmas might be a little bit fake?
Yeah.
That you would love the aerosol frost that much, maybe?
Because I don't think they make it anymore. I haven't seen it in a long time. It's because
though
it's
we
like,
will post a recipe on the website. So
Can you make
make
your
own aerosol
Can you
frost.
make your own-
You
can
mean
you
it
make
wasn't
your
part
own?
of our holiday gift guide there?
I guess you could. If they have Soda Stream for soda water, maybe they have like an aerosol frost stream.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
maybe.
what the heck it was, but it's like you'd just aerosol stuff, and you'd spray this really super thick white stuff on
Oh,
your
it's awful.
tree,
Yeah.
and
Well,
on
you
your-
could never get it off.
Was it toxic? Is that why they got rid of it?
Oh,
Definitely
probably, yes.
toxic. It's like spray insulation
yeah, it's true.
in a way. It had
As
the
best
same-
as they
was.
can.
Yeah, exactly.
You could. I think they discovered you could, if you sprayed it in the family, you could get mad frost disease, which was really a huge problem in the 70s.
In the suburbs,
In the suburbs,
particularly.
especially.
Apparently the Frosty
Because
family was just
It was actually right. I can't remember and it wasn't that long ago I used it. I have photographs of well, maybe it was that long ago in the 80s.
Yeah.
With Merry Christmas in aerosol
Yeah.
frost
Yeah.
on the window.
You might still be able to get it. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
This would
Probably
be a
a
good
non-toxic
question for our
version now.
viewers.
Yes.
Our viewers, our
anyone-
listeners.
if anyone knows.
If you're watching right now, it's a really dull show.
No,
Exactly.
no. Well,
Viewers,
thank
listeners.
God
Sharon,
it
maybe
is
maybe Sharon
listeners
knows.
because we're doing this naked. And
We're just covering ourselves in aerosol frost.
So, how many
Completely.
Christmas songs do you wind up doing a year?
Well, that's a great question. I end up. So the truth be known, I've written 5 this year, in various states of disrepair. They're sitting in my computer. I will revisit them from time to time and see if they will become friends. So I mean, I've got a bin. I've got a bin full of lyrics. I do. I really do.
Wow.
For some time, that was just my therapy. I just like writing them and imagining them as songs as opposed to as poetry or as prose or as whatever.
Right.
So this year I've 5 on the go.
Wow.
And you're also talking with some other artists to do some collaborations.
That's
as well?
for next year.
That's another project.
This is a whole other project. I want to fill. So I've got these 3, and so we can discuss what the production is like. I've never been particularly. It sounds good because it was done in an incredible studio, and Rusty's very good, and the playing is great, and all that. But I mean, would I love to have another kick at the can, and have it sound,
Re-recorded or remixed?
I would re-record.
Yeah.
I think I'd re-record. Yeah. I mean, my image is always
Christmas is pretty good. The upcoming ones or the other ones.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I would. I think because we're also, for example, like to do the, Rusty's thing is to do the vocals on them is especially at Maple Avenue because it was like a great backyard and badminton. So if there's someone over, I'd just be in the studio alone hitting the switch and doing the vocals.
Right.
And they'd be playing badminton, and then they'd come in and I'd say. And so, I mean, you'd obviously have to know Rusty, but you'd be looking for feedback. And you go, well, what do you think? Is there any input? And then you go, yeah, it's great. And then we'd move on. And it's fine. It's fine. I mean, I'm not all that precious about it. I think it's credible. Like, obviously, like when you do it, and you guys know it, all I hear, I'm happy to hear them, but I hear all the mistakes that I've been hearing forever.
Yeah.
And the little background vocal figures that I thought would be super great that we just never got around to doing, I hear that where they're supposed to be. So my image of what we're listening to is completely different than what is being played.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not completely different, but it is different. So I'd love to have another kick at the can, as it were. But like I just have, So, and who knows? I think this is the year. That's why I really want to do. I have some people lined up. They're actors, comedians, musicians, etc. To do some co-writes and fill out a full album. And that's just, it's a vanity project. I'm a retired person. I can afford to fund it and not really worry about monetizing anything. So,
before this, you've always done singles as Christmas songs, like
they were all done as there was
singles.
never a concept of a whole
album.
kind of
Cool.
So, but there are people I'd absolutely love to work with.
Oh yeah.
So and they're friends. So it's like the musicians on that track. I mean. Yeah. John Johnson, who played saxophone, he's like Boss Brass, Aretha Franklin.
Yes, I was going to mention that sax line.
Amazing.
It's so wonderful. It's a wonderful
I ran
sax.
into him on the street. And like he's busy. And when you've been doing it I've known him since high school.
Right.
And when you've been doing it that many years, you get, it's like, I'm busy, and whatever. But he was so sweet. He said, yeah, so when you come into the studio and I'll lay it down for you. And it was just one song, right?
Yeah.
And it was that magic thing. He plays at the first pass, and he's adding those little fills in between. He's just making it make so much sense.
Yeah.
And that beautiful little solo that's really understated but just perfect. And I'm listening on headphones going, I can't believe this is going on my song.
Yeah.
And so he finished that. We get to the end. I go, that's great, man. He said, no, do that again. And he did it 3 times. And this is typical. Like the third time, he always killed it.
Yeah.
So it was just showing me those kind of minor gaps between that's great and that's magical, right? So that's what he was doing. So that was my friend John Johnson, very sweet. Everybody on that recording, Matt Horner, fantastic keyboard player, Rusty, Jeff Bennett on playing percussion, great Bob Scott on drums.
Right.
You gotta love great Bob Scott, and he's playing. I just drove over here. I've parked right in front of the Jazz Bistro. Yeah, he's playing at the Jazz Bistro. So yeah, I mean, people donating their time, and because I've done a lot of benefits and things, like I get that how. I mean, you do it because you do it, and they're friends. But
Right.
I don't underestimate the value that they're bringing to the project, right? So it's pretty cool, really cool.
Yeah, that's great stuff.
So
Let's, if you don't
we
mind,
move on to the
we'll
second song?
talk about we'll take a listen to your other song that we brought in.
Could we?
Rum and Eggnog.
Yes,
Is
completely
there anything you'd
different.
like to say about that before we get into it?
okay, so this is complete. Now for something completely different.
Yeah.
It's completely different. It's country. It sort of has a country feel, for sure, and it's completely different. That's all I'll say.
It's very atypical for you.
No, I love country music. This isn't. I love everything. I'm glad I'm old enough now to say I love country music.
I'm just asking this song in particular is atypical for you.
Yeah, great question. Actually, is it? I hope not. It is kind of, yes. Okay. It is a little more, I'm going to say, I think it sounds a little more commercial, kind of Nashville-y kind of sound to it, like feel to it, structure to it, which is not usually what I'm going
you tend
for.
To go kind of more jazz phrasings or
and if it's avant-garde, I'm pretty happy about it. This one is a little more kind of, I don't know.
Pretty straight up.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, let's take a listen to Rum and Eggnog.
Rum and eggnog take my mind. I'm getting drunker all the time. Don't need no beer, no weed, no wine. My rum and eggnog suits me fine. Just last week, I was trying to get some sleep, sipping nog and counting sheep. Man, them sheeps give me the creeps. It occurred to me one day while pouring rum made in Mount Gay that when I go, I really stay. Serve that eggnog on a tray. Rum and eggnog take my mind. I'm getting drunker all the time. Don't need no beer, no weed, no wine. Rum and eggnog suits me fine. When it's time to have a drink, I pour that whiskey down the sink. 'Cause I think it smells like stink. Of course my nose has been on the blink. Rum and eggnog take my mind. I'm getting drunker all the time. Don't need no beer, no weed, no wine. Rum and eggnog suits me fine. Take it away, fellers. Sounded real pretty, Rusty. I think I'm gonna do me some booty scoot. I saw a Santa sleigh at dawn, just decoration for a lawn. Last sip of eggnog, now it's gone. Just ask Matthew, Luke, and John to go to the store and get me more. Rum and eggnog take my mind. drunker all the time. Don't need no beer, no weed, no wine. Rum and eggnog suits me fine. Don't need no weed, no wine, no beer. 'Cause it's that eggnog time of year. Hey, could one of y'all pass me the nutmeg?
Very nice.
Oh, great tune.
Rum and Eggnog, Jef Farquharson. Lovely tune there, Jeff.
Well, thank you.
I really swear, by the time probably the third chorus, maybe after the chorus right after the break, I'm like, modulation. I'm really hearing a modulation come on, but you didn't modulate. That's okay.
Well, it's a funny thing to say, like writing down the lyrics. I could just cut and paste that chorus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Well, except the last one's different, which is really, which is quite nice.
Well, that was
actually.
the turnaround.
Yeah, the turnaround, which is a perfect
Nice way
thing
to wrap
at the
it
end.
up.
Yeah.
Nice way to wrap it up.
And,
the
so, and
different-
Rusty
with the
did this one too, right?
He did that.
Yeah.
He did that one too.
And the really nice thing about the turnaround is that it was lyrically different. The rhyme scheme is different because the rhyme scheme in this song is A. It's like mine, time, wine, fine,
Yeah.
week, sleep,
It's
cheat,
kind
treat,
of
day, gay,
mindless,
stay,
right?
ray,
Yeah.
mine, time, wine, fine. Like and that may be why you were saying before we played it that it's much more structured, it's much
Sure.
more ordered, much more patterned,
Yeah.
and that really drives that home.
And isn't it? Yeah, it's sort of making me laugh.
You could
Even-
rap this.
It's interesting being. I know. Well, and it does kind of. I think it kind of works. Now, the funny story about this is the bass player. I know it's probably nothing to do with, but I was thinking about this. Actually, I was talking to Great Bob driving over here. Brandy Disterheft is this amazing. She's from Vancouver, lives in New York now, and she's a fantastic jazz bass player. So what she was doing playing the Doghouse on this track, I have no idea. But if she gets to, like, she plays all the time. Her albums are great. So, I mean, if she ever gets a level of notoriety, I've got this in my back pocket. Remember, Brandy? You played on this. So,
Well, did a fine job too.
Didn't
I know,
need
she's
all the
great.
strings, though, did she?
that was in Rusty's apartment on Dover Court. All sort
Wow.
of stacked in his little studio there. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
cool.
fantastic. It sounds just like it's right out of Nashville. It's sounds so polished.
I love the bass line in this. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, I love that she comes in at whatever. I mean, it just seems to be, from my ear, like, I like it because it seems to be plodding, and then there it is. The
Yeah.
whole band comes in. So I go, wow. And that's Rusty. That's not me going, well, we should do this because I know
Right.
what I'm talking about.
I mean, lyrically, I thought the line, don't need no beer, no weed, no wine. There's a nice sort of alliteration. No weed, no wine. Has that kind of nice rhythm to it, which I thought was great. And the little the thing that you had the eggnog just before the chorus starts,
Eggnog.
which is really handy. I mean, it's kind of a bit of a novelty thing, like a lot of novelty country songs, but it works really well. And I love the way you tie it into, ask Matthew, Luke, and John to go to the store and get me more. And then you use that
And then
eggnog
eggnog.
from the first part. I thought that was a really tasty little bit.
Yeah, that works, doesn't it? I'm not,
It totally works, yeah.
That as much as any song, and even more than Christmas is, like, in my heart is a complete song.
Oh yeah,
Right. Whereas it's not avant-garde. It's not kind of whatever. It's just a song. So I mean, and I'm kind of proud of that. It's nice to listen
it's a great
to it.
tune.
It's
So-
a little, in its own way, Stompin' Tom, like it's got a bare bones, it's got no pretensions to it, and
Yeah, it's very straight ahead.
But we talked about, the do-over for me, like re-recording this, pedal steels. There's going to be, like, I would even throw the whole kitchen sink at it. There'd be fiddle, pedal steel.
would there be a modulation?
Right? I'd even throw somewhere in the mix.
Gotta be
Just in the
modulation.
back, in the right, would be a dobro. There'd be stuff happening. And one thing you notice, like in this case, those background vocals work because it sounds like a sing-song, right?
Well, it's true, and I wanted to mention that because you have the vocals who come in after the instrumental break. And there's no bridge to this song. There's like an instrumental break, but it's still on the verse form. But you have backing vocals just sort of doing the oohs, which kind of really helps to make that last verse kind of special. Like you need that sort of that step up, and it worked really well. I mean, it's traditional, but it's done really well traditionally. Like it's not like I think some people could do this, and it's a bit sort of tongue in cheek.
Sure.
And this is just very straight ahead. I mean, it's
Well, the funny thing is, I do have something of a background in comedy, but if someone listens to my tunes, and that goes to the other one we're not playing, the other sort of completed piece, is I don't look at them as comedy pieces at all.
No.
At all. If they like for me, even that could be a bit of a novelty song, but that's not my image of it, and it's not what I hear when I listen to it. So.
No.
But it's got enough of those kind of everybody shouting eggnog and
Yeah.
It's
and all
fun, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a novelty song.
If you're diabetic, don't drink eggnog.
No.
It's not
Well,
a good
just-
good
No.
idea.
Good advisory. It's
And
good
I
to
don't know if
point
you
out.
guys do those sort
Don't
of
have the rum either if you're diabetic.
public
service,
and
yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I'm in no way in this song telling diabetics that they should drink
No.
eggnog.
No, I mean, now, do you send any of your songs out to like radio stations, or are you promoting this at all?
Okay,
or?
Christmas gets played is on fairly regular rotation at Jazz FM.
Okay, nice.
So I just found this email. What was it? I think it's the one it's the completed one that we're not playing, which is called Christmas in a Phone Booth.
Which is a great tune, by the way.
Oh, did you hear it?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was great.
That one bothers me because, and I'll tell you all about it. I don't have to go into talking about a song we're not listening to on the show, but
Yeah, we
but
can.
there are kind of moments, and that
We do it all the time.
I think it's a great idea, but it's just not fully realized. But
Really?
anyway,
Okay.
that one, and this was just from the SoundCloud platform. I got an email from this company in Great Britain saying that they wanted to use that particular tune because they were putting together playlists for, and I don't know how legally it works over there, but for be for pubs and stuff like that.
Ah, nice.
And so I think I did get one check, but they put it into a playlist, and it was most popular. And Mike is going to, I think you're going to be very proud to hear Northern Ireland was the place that it got most plays. But I think because it was never intended to be a business, I never looked to promote it and stuff. James B. at Jazz FM just happens to be a good friend that I've worked with a lot.
Right.
Doing things. And so he introduced it to them, and so they play it. And that's Christmas is. But I would, I mean, I've got time on my hands. Well, so.
Well, especially because the country music industry is actually like huge in Canada. It's actually much larger,
very much so.
than than the rock and the pop industry. So I mean, there's lots of radio stations that would, I think, welcome CanCon, because CanCon is a requirement. If you have a radio station in Canada, you are required to play a certain amount of Canadian content. Now, how they determine that is actually
How is it performance or writing or production?
Sometimes it's a little, sometimes it's very kind of
The whole maple thing.
yeah. Sometimes it's very kind of it's a little bit sketchy about something that qualifies.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's definitely radio stations looking for content out there.
Well, yeah, I'll definitely, go and re-record that, which I think needs to be re-recorded, and
Which is interesting because I hear this, and to me this stands up with any of the classic country stuff that you hear on country radio. Like this doesn't sound amateur in one shape, form at all.
yeah, I think what's missing though is because it works out. It sounds like almost like a pub song where everybody's singing it, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd like to clean up the vocals. I would, and that part.
Wow. Okay. I think they're great. So
I saw Santa Sleigh at Dawn, just decoration for lawn, which you were mentioning is where the ooze came in, right? Which they need to be further up in the mix. There needs to be less insinuated, more right there.
Okay.
So there needs to be it needs to differentiate itself
right. Okay.
more. So that's what I hear when I listen to it, like the stuff that I would
Yeah.
go back and do.
Yeah.
But it does stand up because it's a bit of a kind of country pub kind of brawler. So it's really you don't necessarily need those
In the
subtleties.
pocket, the groove.
Yeah,
is
and
great.
really,
Well, that's Brandy and great. That's great Bob Scott.
and really, it sounds like you're talking about mixing things because as soon as you go back and re-record
Right.
a song, the magic that was there the first time
That's
around
true.
is no
100%.
longer
Yeah.
there, right?
There's
Yeah.
always that.
So
Yeah.
that's a risk.
Yeah.
And you know what also a risk is, well, we won't get to hear any more from you tonight because
no.
that's it. That's,
Why?
the show's ending. That's all the time we have here on Song Talk Radio. Special thanks to our guest, Jef Farquharson.
That was
Thank you,
really,
sir.
really fun.
Bringing in
Thank
your
you,
Christmas.
everybody.
That was great.
I'm waving my hands like that means something.
It does.
It does.
It doesn't
Certain
mean
people.
anything.
Well,
really,
to
but
Don,
thank
it
you. That was
does.
fun.
Don't
Please
appreciate
send us your impressions on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at Song Talk Radio, or send us an email at feedback@songtalk.ca. And be sure to check out our YouTube channel for live performance videos and full episodes. And please stop by the site at songtalkradio.ca. Subscribe today to Song Talk Radio Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher.com, Spotify, Podcast Addict. Now, what are the other ones? There's others too. right?
TuneIn.com.
TuneIn.com. And don't forget to sign up for our free newsletter at songtalk.ca. I know this sounds like we're asking you to do a lot of work. These are just options.
That's
So
right.
you can continue.
No, they're not.
No,
They're
not
required.
it's all mandatory.
With the
mandatory.
Song Talk options that you have. Just
If you're listening to the show, you're contractually obligated to do all those things. It's the
And
law.
you can find
times
links
over.
to all the products, books, and web services we mentioned on the show here at Song Talk Radio on our resources page at songtalkradio.ca.
Songtalk.ca.
Songtalk.ca. Yeah, sorry. It's written down here, yet I read it wrong. If
hard
you're in
to
the
keep up.
Well, that's
Toronto
not my
area,
fault.
please join us at our next Song Talk meetup on this Thursday, December 12th from 7 to 10 p.m. at the Transact Club at Brunswick and Bloor. It's free to join on meetup.com and free to attend the meeting, so stop by songtalk.ca
Yay.
for the link to the meetup. And,
That's
thank
quality
you,
control.
John, for this great...
Thank
for
you,
all
Don,
your
sir.
tech
Woo.
board expertise. And most of all, we'd like to thank you, the devoted listener. You can follow Neil at...
NeilModi.com.
You can follow Phil at...
The Phil Emery on Twitter.
You can follow me on Instagram at Proudfoot420. And Jeff, do you want to be followed anywhere?
No, please don't follow me.
Do you have a website
Okay.
or anything?
I don't.
Can anyone get? How do people get your
What's
stuff?
your phone number, Jeff?
It goes to the phone. And so the CDs, I mean, it's so dated. It's a phone number. I barely. It's fine. You know, the way. I'm really not out there, so I'm not promoting anything right
Okay.
now.
Okay,
Although
well, when
I do
you have
have
the Christmas
copies
song
in the
at-
car. If you happen, it's a
I'll
blue
be circling the
Subaru.
building. Okay,
If you
well,
see a blue
that's it.
Subaru,
Okay, well,
you need a copy.
So you can stop by the website and get Jeff's license plate number at songtalk.ca to browse past shows, find out how you can be a guest. Keep on writing. Good night.
Good night, everyone.